Well, hello, this is Angela Green, licensed esthetician and owner of Skin Biz Supply here in Los Angeles, California. SkinBizSupply.com is an online resource for licensed estheticians and beauty business professionals to partner all the things we love to do with all the things we have to do to create a successful business. So I'm coming to you in this video to talk with you about the cost per service worksheet or spreadsheet. And this particular idea and this tool has gained a lot of momentum in the past few days. Any of you who follow me know that I am doing at the hip with Miss Stephanie Lanes of SmoothSkinSupply.com. And Smooth Skin Supply also houses a number of awesome brands created by Miss Stephanie Lanes, including the Be Bright skincare line, as well as the ever so popular Save Brazil wax line. And she hosted a live mastermind over this past weekend in Dallas, Texas. The meeting was held in Dallas, her warehouse, and she her family have all relocated to Plano, Texas. And so we hosted a class, and I co-facilitated with her, and the portion I was responsible for was cost per service. So I dabbled a little bit of a spreadsheet and created some formulas and did some things, and this was definitely a real eye-opener. Probably right up there with the 7-minute Brazilian demo. So at any rate, I certainly want to talk with you about cost per service. I've had several requests for the cost per service worksheet that wanted to partner the spreadsheet or worksheet along with this video to really explain how it's best used. Now, I will verbally state this disclaimer. This worksheet does not guarantee any specific amount of income. I am not an accountant or a licensed professional financial advisor of any sort. Just a hardworking person. I actually gone to school and done a lot of things in the corporate world, and still just love the field of aesthetics, and don't plan on giving that up anytime soon. So let's get into it. I want to share the screen with you so that we can take a look at this together. Now, the spreadsheet has 3 specific examples. One example, and the one I'm going to go over on the video tonight, is for the eyebrow wax. You will also have an example of a Brazilian wax cost per service and cost per service for a 30-minute skincare service. So let me do the screen share here and we can get into this example. Bear with me just a moment. Come on there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you see at the very top it says cost per service, wax and facial, and you will get the spreadsheet. This spreadsheet, you'll see at the bottom, has 2 tabs, one for cost of service for wax and one has cost per service for facials. We will cover the example here at the top, but before we get into that, I want to go over a few basic definitions that will help us build our knowledge with this tool. So cost per service for waxing is comprised of the following elements. The cost of doing the service is the amount of money required to purchase items to perform a service. Labor would be the value of the labor required to deliver the service based on your goal. This is ultimately what you're going to take home in terms of pay. And price is the amount of money that needs to be charged to the client or the customer to cover the cost plus the labor, and also to plan for profit. This is really how businesses break down what they're going to need to deliver a quality service and who's going to perform the service, and then what price they need to determine to charge the consumer to ensure profitability. You know, so many times we are looking around at what other businesses are doing. There have been a number of chain spas. I mean, I've been licensed now for 12 years officially, and some of these other chain spas did not even exist before I started, and they certainly didn't exist, in the time they've come about in the time since I've been licensed. So these are the types of formulas that really successful businesses are implementing before they even start the process of opening, and they know what their goals are going into opening their business. And I would encourage you all to do the same. So let's take the example of an eyebrow wax. I think we can all agree that you need some basic items to perform an eyebrow wax. Of course, I'm going to use the items that are provided by, say, Brazil Wax and Smooth Skin Supply, just for the sake of an example. So our latte wax, which is really popular for brow waxing, the tin is $19.50. And for the sake of our example, I will estimate that we will get at least 50 eyebrow wax services out of 1 tin of wax. I think you can get more, but for the sake of an example, you can get at least 50 uses out of that product. Basically, take the cost of the product divided by how many uses it will yield, and that gives me my cost per unit or cost per service. And you also want to extend that to 1, and you'll see why this use per service is very important, which makes our cost per service 39 cents. So 1 tin of latte wax is $19.50. I expect to get at least 50 uses out of that 1 tin of wax, making my cost per unit 39 cents. I'm going to use 1 unit of latte wax for each service. So my cost per service is 39 cents. Let's go to the next item. I'm going to use the pre-cut strips. Pre-cut strips are $4.95. There are 100 in the package. That takes my cost per unit down to just 5 cents. Okay, so I expect that I'll use about 8 pre-cut strips per service, which means my cost per service is 40 cents. We take the same formula, apply that to the applicator sticks. Calm serum, which is our post-wax serum, we primarily indicate for brow waxing. Gloves and table paper. So for sticks, I'm going to also budget myself at about 8 sticks. It could be more, it could be less, but again, for the sake of math, we want a solid number. I'm going to use 1 unit of Calm Serum. It's a 64-ounce usage. The Calm Serum in this case is 16 ounces, so I'm going to guess that I'll use maybe a quarter of an ounce each time. I mean, you need that much product to finish off a brow wax, right? You don't need a ton of product for your post-wax serum or your post-wax treatment. Gloves, box of gloves is $12.95 out of $100. They're going to be 13 cents each, but of course I'm going to use 2 gloves to perform the service. Some of you decide to glove or not to glove. That's up to you, different conversation. But ultimately I decided to wear gloves for my service, and that's what it's going to cost me, my cost per service. And then table paper, I guesstimated that I would get at least 17 uses out of that, 56 cents per unit and 56 cents per service. So let's get down here to the facility cost. Facility cost is basically what we're estimating you're paying for rent. And actually, this comes down to a monthly amount. Actually, this comes down to a weekly amount. So let me make sure that's correct. I wish we could pay $250 a month. That would be awesome. So I'm going to correct that there. And then with our labor, we're going to make that a weekly budget too. So I just want to show you here how you can change these numbers. Let's just say that you are spending less per week. You can enter $150 per week if that's what you spend, and those numbers will adjust. So let's just assume that you're paying $250 per week for your space. Okay, we're going to break that down in just a bit. And then let's just say that you want to earn so much per week, okay, in terms of your what you take home. Let's say you want to earn $800 per week. I'm just going to be very conservative here and plug that in, $800 per week. So this is very important because a lot of times we underestimate what we're going to make per service by calculating hourly rates. So this number here represents what I'm going to be spending per hour if my facility is, or my room rental, or the cost of me doing business there is $250 per week. It's going to be $6.25 an hour, assuming here 40 hours a week. So hourly, we're going to break that down to $6.25. So for the purpose of this service, if my eyebrow wax is 15 minutes, I'm going to get 4 increments out of that 1 hour. Of course, 15 minutes 4 times is 60 minutes, which would equal 1 hour. I'm going to divide that number by 4 to get that per service. Now, it's really important to point out that we've calculated this by week, by hour, then by service. Because the bottom line is this: if you're not working a full 40 hours a week, you're not earning anything on the hours you're not working, okay? Or you're not servicing a client. So this per service number is really important because that will be your incentive to set a goal for how many services you plan to do in the course of a day. You're breaking down an eyebrow wax, it's a 15-minute service. If you were hypothetically scheduled for 4 eyebrow waxes, that would represent 1 hour of your time, okay? So let's get down to labor because that's really going to click right there and make some sense. Let's just say that you want to earn $800 per week. And again, you have to set this goal for yourself. You know what your expenses are at home and what you want to take home, what you believe you should be taking home, or what you're actually taking home, but maybe actually be going back into your business. And we'll get to that in a minute. That calculates to $20 an hour if you're working a 40-hour work week. And your labor cost would be $5 per service, simply because we are dividing that number by 4. So $5 per service to make sure you make that $20 per hour, okay? So when you factor or you add all of those items, the cost of delivering the service, your labor, and we're gonna factor in the facility cost or your rent, your booth rental, your room rental. The cost of your brow wax is $9.13, okay? If you are in fact charging $15 per brow wax, the difference is going to be $5.87 to the good, okay? To the good. And you're making a margin of 39%. Now let's take a look at this and let's just see that, okay, maybe I want to make more money. If I'm making more money, let's just say I want to make $1,000 a week, okay? And so hourly, that would be $25 an hour, $6.25 per service. The cost of my brow wax has now gone up to $10.38 because I'm factoring in my labor. My hard-earned money is factored in here. At $15 per brow wax, you got a difference of $4.62, and you're making a nice little margin of 31%. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are doing that. But again, these are kind of lower numbers. So at the end of that brow wax, you've got $4.62 to pour back into your business. But a lot of times we have to admit what ends up happening. We neglect to pay ourselves because we've got more business expenses than we do money to take home. And we don't always factor in how much it's going to cost us to deliver that service, replenish those products, and also be able to pay ourselves. So again, it's really important to take a look at those numbers to make sure they're making sense to you. So I just want to stop with that example there, okay? You'll see you have one for Brazilian wax that takes into account all of the things that you are going to use in a Brazilian wax service. And you also have your cost per service with your facial. So you're going to go through all the different items that you may use, cleanser, whatever enzyme or exfoliant you're using, and you can interchange these numbers that are in the boxes to get to your true cost per service based on products and items that you use, based on what your what your rent may be per week, per month, and all of that information is plugged in. I did my best to isolate these functions over here and all of these little formulas so that everything stays on track. So just want to caution you, try not to erase these items here, because if you erase these things, it's not going to calculate everything correctly. You may or may not remember what was there, okay? So again, it's really important to do that. So if you want to figure out how to determine the price of the services you're going to set for your clients, you really want to make sure you go through this exercise, because it will tell you how much it's costing you to deliver that service and the difference of what you're going to have to put back into your business and not take from yourself at the end of the day, okay? So that is what we are dealing with. And I'm back. So I want to make sure that you all have good information, that the numbers are starting to make sense to you, and that you have a solid plan going in. I did a Periscope tonight, and that will also be on the blog at www.skinbizsupply.com. Whether you use these numbers or not is up to you. Again, this is just simply advice on how to calculate your cost per service. And there are definitely ways that you can physically affect your cost per service by either minimizing the amount of money you're spending on those goods to deliver the right services. That may mean more money for you to take home or more money to put back into your business. So I encourage you to visit www.skinbizsupply.com for the blog post titled the same, Cost Per Service for Estheticians. And there's where we talk about some of our practical ways and methods in your treatment room, hand to product to client, and making sure that you are able to make the money you need to make to be comfortable in your business and to make a great living. So I hope this helps explain some of the details. Some of these things are a little different than what we discussed in the class. I did go in and tweak a few things and make sure that all these things were right, but you do get the gist of it. So if you'd like to have access to the spreadsheet, the process is that you send me your email address. You can find me at Skin Biz Supply on Facebook or on in Instagram. Send me your email address. I will send you the PayPal invoice. The spreadsheet itself, of course, is $25, along with this video to explain some of the details. And once I've confirmed the payment, I will send you the link. You're watching this video, so you can explain this to a friend if you want to explain it to someone else. So you'll receive the link to this video and you receive the spreadsheet. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help you and walk you through some of those details. And I think these are a little bit different for people who are just starting up versus those who have been in business for a while and who want to catch up and ensure business success going forward. So I do like to make sure that I'm addressing those individual calls and concerns one at a time. And sometimes they're good advice for both parties. Sometimes the advice needs to be a little bit more specific. But when it's all said and done, know your numbers. Don't be afraid of your numbers. This is why you're in business for yourself, to make sure that you can make a living. And it's really important that you consider your cost per service in that process. Thank you so much for your purchase. I really, really appreciate sharing, being able to share the knowledge and have it really make a difference in your skincare business. All right, that's it for now. We'll see you soon. Take care.